We look to the flag stand, and there's the green flag as we enter the VP acceleration zone. The pole sitter, Elliott Skier, pulling away side by side there for the second spot with Verhagen and Brown as they charge up the hill. Advantage to Brown on the right-hander.
Yeah, Verhagen has to check up a little bit. This allows Brian Sellers there side by side as they head into turn 3. He then gives it up fully in close proximity behind him.
Sargent charging here in the early stages. He's up a couple of spots from his back row starting position. Zach Veach takes a peek to the inside of Robbie Folding in the 93 Acura. Ultimately settles back in line.
That's Orblin right behind him. There you see the 8 machine. Tuck it in. They didn't have a great start to the race yesterday. Elias Sabo went off. Andy Lee behind the wheel right now. Good clean start so far. Cloud cover, but the grip is there.
Andy Lee coming under assault. This is Thomas Sargent. GMG racing the team. Great move on around the outside. Can he keep it there on Andy Lee? The answer is no. Lee is able to fend him off for the Flying Lizard team.
Impressive young talent there. Now he's got the attentions of the Irishman. Adam Carroll right behind him. Elliott Skier flying away from this field. This is Bill Orblin just trying to settle in here in the second of the ST Racing BMWs.
Battle is on here. This is for the lead in the Pro-Am class. Colin Brown forced on the defensive. Here comes Neil Verhagen. We heard George Kurtz say, this kid is magic. Well, it's now on full display.
Yeah, that BMW's come to life, I think, a little bit quicker than the CrowdStrike entry. So Brown is definitely on the defense right now, and it's perfect for Elliott Skier, the leader overall and in Pro. Just allowed him to just focus forward. He doesn't have to worry about his rear view camera or anything. Getting really close here to the moment in this race where Jeff Burton can peel off and come into pit lane. Essentially, there needs to be at least 51 minutes and 25 seconds on the board before Jeff Burton can hit pit lane. Then if they do the perfect pit stop, there he is. It's going to be tight. I think he's going to have to do one more lap, unfortunately. He's too tight to that number that I discussed. Oh, it's close. It's close. There's the line. Good. He's right on it by a second.
Wow.
Wow.
And there you see the leaders coming through.
What you could do, if you were a couple of seconds under there, you could just do a longer pit stop, because it's all about when Philip Ellis leaves. So if they were a couple of seconds under, maybe they wanted to take that risk and just make it a slightly longer pit stop. So when Philip Ellis starts his drive time, it would have been delayed a little bit. But I thought they were going to be doing one more lap.
Now they make the call to the pit lane, and it will be up to Philip Ellis to drive through this field. If there should be a safety car reset, boy, oh boy, would we have a show on our hands.
That's what they're hoping and praying for. That is their glimmer of hope that Philip Ellis is now going to be on board.
Here we go, Zach Veach coming in. He'll be turning over to Luca Mars, who I thought had pretty good pace yesterday, so that allows the Racer's Edge team to come in and make their pit stop perhaps earlier than others. 29 of Foley is in. A little bit earlier than maybe I would have expected, given his pace.
I would have pushed it. I mean, if you should be forced into a safety car situation, and certainly the stewards are aware of that, so it has to be something major, I think, to interfere with a moment in the race where you got pit stops happening.
And now this battle will break off, at least temporarily.
Still got that Aston impregnated in his vision. Not changing.
It's going to be up to Elias Sabo and Kyle Washington to sort this one out the rest of the way. Ooh, this is interesting. Skier held up in traffic a little bit, waving out the window. That might be to warn the car behind that he's going to make the dive to the pit lane. He's still good time-wise.
Yeah, he's good by 20-odd seconds. Now you see the rest of the field who elected to stay out.
Colin Brown follows him through. Those two just mirroring each other's lap times. Look at this, though. The battle off of the pit lane.
Oh, is there overlap?
I think there was overlap there.
Yeah.
So the rule is, if you're in the fast lane, which is the outside lane, if you're in the inside lane and there's a car outside of you and you overlap at all with that car in the fast lane, you must give the spot back. And boy, that was awfully close.
It was. At one point, I thought that the Porsche did have that overlap, which means that Washington will have to be allowed to go by Sabo, but stewards will be looking at that one. Two perfectly executed stints by a pole sitter, Elliott Skier, and Colin Brown did a stunning job. Had a couple of laps there, and now the wheel has got loose. That's not ideal. It's outside of the box. Fortunately, there's no one else leaving their pit lane. They may get a penalty for that, for equipment not being under control. So,
looking left, looking right. Philip Ellis knows every moment stuck behind this Porsche is wasted time as he tries to make up the deficit incurred by their alternate strategy.
Well, the key is if you get a safety car, he's got to be in front of Adelson to really get the advantage. So this is critical. This is one of the biggest moves right now and a real pressure point in this race for Philip Ellis. He will know this. Right now he is a lap down, barely.
Another battle here. Luca Mars working on Kyle Washington now. So this is the car that Tom Sargent started in the case of the Porsche, the car that Zach Veach started in the case of the Acura, and Luca Mars able to make his way past. Again, not for class position. Mars has some work to do. He's about 14 seconds behind the car he's chasing for second in the Pro class, now driven by Varun Choksi, who runs 7th, now 6th overall, as Choksi just made a pass on Elias Sabo. Spin for Sabo, who had been running in the 6th spot as recently as last lap. You could see the tread marks from where he went around. Doesn't look like he hit anything, though. Back up to speed, lost an overall position to Luca Mars, and the car behind him is for position with Kyle Washington closing in.
Yeah, so Elias has got to reset. Sure, they're talking to him, just settle back down again, settle back down.
So remember we saw the tire get away from the Riley team during their pit stop. That pit stop is now under review.
Look and see what happened with Elias here. Comes into turn 9, just gets a little bit wide. Yeah, just offline there a little bit. Yeah, competitive 133s, but not the 132s we expected. Now he looks to the inside. Adelson needs to give it up. He doesn't want to get in this battle. That is not a factor on your day whatsoever. No risk, no point.
Here we go. This is Phil Ellis on the march back through the field. He's making a pass around Ross Schwest there. That is for 11th. That is also a class position changing hands. So we're starting to see. Yeah, exactly. Starting to see Phil's charge through the field. We've got a replay of something just a few moments ago. Varun Choksi from ST Racing closing up on Justin Rothberg. Ooh, Rothberg slips out of the preferred line, gets some dust on the tires, and it's about as easy of a pass as you're going to have at this level. Race control, caller 04, pit stop infringement, 5-second post-race time penalty.
Well, right now he has a 4.9-second lead, so that's appropriate. That means if the race stopped right now, he'd lose the win, but he's got some time to work with.
He'd lose the win, but he'd keep second by like 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that close.
It is that close, so now it's game on. Everyone will be getting that information, and that information will be relayed to Samantha Tan, certainly Scott Smithson, and absolutely George Kurtz. As George, if you want to win this race, you've got to gap this Pro-Am field by at least 5. So right now, that's not enough for George Kurtz.
He wouldn't hold on to second.
Spin.
Oh, wow. Great save there from Smithson. He was halfway around, did lose his spot, but it could have been a whole lot more.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, so Scott's got to make up another second or thereabouts to be in a position to take advantage of Kurtz's penalty. So I think this could be the move here. Philip Ellis to the inside of Washington, done and dusted, able to make that pass. Took it to the inside. Philip Ellis on Elias Sabo, and he's up one more spot. At the front of the field, though, what a weekend. Sheer dominance from Wright Motorsports. Elliott Skier and Adam Adelson got the job done behind the wheel. Through the final corner for the final time, the checkered flag waves for Wright Motorsports. Adam Adelson and Elliott Skier win race 2 at Sonoma. George Kurtz coming across the line, and on the road he wins in the Pro-Am class, but we'll have to check the gap as Samantha Tan comes to the checkered flag. Let's check and see, is it under 5 seconds? It is not. So Kurtz with the win in Pro-Am. Tan comes home second. Smithson looks set for a podium result. In the meantime, Choksi will hold off the hard-charging Luca Mars. Second and third in the Pro class settled here in the final few laps. Side by side, here comes Ellis. This is forceful, shortcuts the chicane. All the stewards are going to have to look at this one. He keeps his foot in it, though. I think that one's probably going to get reversed post-race, but just in case, Philip Ellis will take it. Oh, or is he going to try and give it back? Nope, doesn't look like it. Rothberg goes in deep. Ellis puts the power down, and at least on the road, he will finish 4th, but the stewards will surely take a look at that overtake. These are results, of course, pending any kind of post-race alterations from the stewards, but Adam Adelson and Elliott Skier, as mentioned, they are your overall winners.